Tales of Herding Gods Episode 61. In the previous episode, Qin Mu witnessed a turning point in both his life and the Heavenly Saint cult. The young patriarch revealed the truth behind Granny Sis Heart Devil, the lingering soul of her late husband. Cult Master Li Tianxing, their tragic bond, one of love and obsession, became a living struggle between heart and will. After the ceremony of ascension, the young patriarch guided Qin Mu across Saint Arrival Mountain, teaching him the ways of leadership and the true history of their sacred cult. Under his guidance, Qin Mu began to understand that the Heavenly Saint cult was more than just a sect, it was an empire built upon wisdom, structure, and balance. Before departing, the young patriarch reminded him to lead with generosity, to share knowledge freely, and never to let pride cloud his path. He entrusted Qin Mu with the future, to control the direction of the cult, not to be consumed by its burdens. When the time came to part, Qin Mu followed him down the mountain one last time. The young patriarch's farewell was calm, yet final, his life's journey complete, his teachings now passed on. Watching him disappear into the sky, Qin Mu felt the weight of adulthood settle upon his shoulders. Now as the new sacred cult master, Qin Mu begins to shape the future, founding the school hall, building the floor of heavenly records, and learning the sacred art of teleportation. And the story continues. Great ruins, disabled elderly village. Village chief was still sitting on the recliner along with apothecary as usual, drinking their tea slowly. They welcome visitors with the same lethargic ritual, slow sips, easy smiles, the kind of quiet that has survived more storms than anyone remembers. The moment the new arrivals, a young patriarch from the sacred cult and his stoic companion, the elder of discipline, step into the clearing. Something in the village shifts from idle to curious. The village chief, half paralyzed but razor sharp in spirit, perks up as if cued. Apothecary, forever the fussier of the two, grumbles and complains, but his eyes gleam. There is news to be heard, and two old men who have spent too much time waiting for the world to disturb them again cannot refuse the sound of a good story. Their exchange begins with small barbs, one accusing the other of sleeping in the open during the darkness, the other retorting that with no legs or arms the village chief could hardly be expected to fetch himself home. The banter is warm. It's the language of people who have shared fear and humor in equal measure. Then, as if by a silent agreement to entertain, the village chief demands a comb from apothecary and tidies himself with the ridiculous solemnity of someone preparing for a ceremony. The two old men put on their spectacle, and when the young patriarch asks a simple question, "What is this overlord body you speak of?" both elders erupt into open, disbelieving laughter. You can almost picture the scene. The village chief rolling off his recliner, choking with mirth, apothecary slapping his palms on the dirt until they smart. Laughter that comes from a place beyond mere amusement, from the relief of being proven right, from the joy of catching a pompous outsider in a mistake. The young patriarch and elder of discipline stand there, bewildered, their cultured airs fraying under that very human mirth. It's a moment of exposure. Their authority, the labels they use to measure power, look suddenly flimsy beside a truth that the old villagers have kept like a private joke. And the truth is deliciously simple and subversive. The strongest so-called overlord body is not some exotic, mythical physique, it's an ordinary human body. The greatest, overlord body 3 elixir technique, the young patriarch reveres is revealed to be nothing more than the venerable Daoan technique, the everyday regimen ordinary people once used to temper their bodies. Qin Mu, the man the cult whispered about as a prodigy, the one exalted as an overlord in his own right, cultivated what, in essence, was this plain, ancient practice. He used it with a ferocity and subtlety none of the so-called geniuses expected. He turned ordinary exercises into extraordinary results. The elders' laughter is not mockery alone. There is admiration threaded through it. They delight in the irony, a method so plain, hidden beneath layers of myth and prestige, made dangerous in the hands of someone who actually worked it to its marrow. For Qin Mu to have achieved such mastery with an ordinary body, to have beaten and terrified those who considered themselves superior, is the kind of twist the village chief and apothecary savor. They are not merely correcting the young patriarch's terminology, They are reframing the very idea of talent and cultivation in this ruined world. The young patriarch tries to reconcile what he's been taught with what he's hearing. Perhaps, he muses, the world changed long ago, an epical calamity. The event that made the great ruins what it is today may have erased the capacity for ordinary people to cultivate. In the aftermath, a new orthodoxy of 4 great spirit bodies arose, the bloodlines that now define who can climb the ladder of power. But the village chief and apothecary have a different memory. They suspect that before the great ruins hardened into its present order, common people could cultivate, and that this Daoin method was once part of that common life. Their thoughts glide to one place, almost simultaneously: Carefree Village. The name lands with an ancient resonance for them, and their faces show the quick electric pulse of recognition. If Qin Mu had been an ordinary person before the calamity, if he had roots in a place like Carefree Village, then the puzzle fits. Perhaps he was one of a disappearing breed, someone raised with methods that the new world forgot. The elders, who have been stranded in the slow time of the disabled elderly village, suddenly find their curiosity ignited. They propose, with the mischievous energy of people who have little to lose, to set out tonight to look for that village. The young patriarch feels it too, a sudden hunger for an old kind of adventure. The primal thrill of searching in a ruined landscape for a truth that could overturn existing hierarchies. Cut now to a different scene. At Saint Arrival Mountain, here Qin Mu sits alone before an inscribed wall, the kind that every disciple of the heavenly saint cult respects and fears. He watches over Linger, telling her gently not to run off. This place is a sacred ground. Yes, but for him it is also a classroom full of danger. Linger obeys and darts away respectfully, leaving Qin Mu to his study. The wall is layered with a teleportation method, a formation designed not to be wielded raw but to refine treasures, flags that transport, garments that carry a single body, artifacts that simplify the complexity of calculation into a practical escape. Qin Mu studies these inscriptions with the meticulous calm of someone who reads the world as formulas, as sequences to be optimized. He recognizes that the formation is a 3-part mechanism: runes to set a pattern, the formation to channel it, and a divine art to complete the transfer. In the cult's practice, artisans compress these steps into objects, teleportation flags and clothing, because the raw, unfettered execution of divine art is too complex, too volatile. But Qin Mu is not satisfied with tools. He's fascinated by the thought of bypassing them entirely. If he can execute the divine art directly, if he can perform the teleportation as a live calculation without the intermediary of a refined treasure, his movement would be far more agile and adaptable than any flag can offer. He studies the formation and notices something most would miss. The method demands a superior calculation technique. The inscriptions are not merely ritualistic, they are algebraic in nature. And their full execution requires a mind trained in a far higher order of arithmetic than usual cultivation teaches. So he pieces together his plan with that single, brilliant clarity that defines him. He can make the teleportation method his own, not by borrowing a flag, but by elevating his computational skill to the point where the runes and formation become routine. To do that he needs records, techniques, and records of calculation beyond the common repertory. He needs an algebraic framework capable of unrolling the formation's nested steps in real time. It isn't a call for more spirit stones or rare ingredients, it's a call for better math. Qin Mu's thought ends on a private, almost amused note, the kind of modest ambition that always masks a tidal shift. I need an even superior algebra record. And that wraps up this episode. In this part, we saw the calm yet humorous life of the old masters in the disabled elderly village suddenly stirred by the visit of the young patriarch and his companion. Through their light-hearted banter and laughter, a deeper truth was revealed, that the legendary overlord body was never some divine gift or sacred bloodline, but simply the body of an ordinary person. What made Qin Mu extraordinary was not his birth, but his determination, creativity, and ability to turn the simplest techniques into something powerful. This realization also opened new questions about the past of the Great Ruins. What happened to the time when ordinary people could cultivate? Where did Qin Mu truly come from? The mention of the mysterious, carefree village hinted at secrets yet to be uncovered. setting the stage for the next adventure. Meanwhile, far away at Saint Arrival Mountain, Qin Mu's quiet study of teleportation methods showed his constant thirst for improvement. Instead of relying on tools or treasures, he sought to master the divine art itself, a sign of his deep curiosity and genius. His final words, "I need an even superior algebra record," marked not just the end of this episode, but also the beginning of another step in his endless pursuit of knowledge. If you enjoyed this episode or found it interesting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with the latest episodes in Qin Mu's incredible journey. Thank you for watching, and see you again in the next video.